Dog is here. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Good
Hello.
morning, everyone. Glad to have you at Automation Works Insights today. And our session for today is Get Unstuck using networking. And we're so excited to have a life coach here, Veronica Conway, who's going to be talking to us today. And so I'm just so excited to hear what's going to happen because, we all kind of got stuck with the pandemic. And then right after the pandemic, we got racial riots and protests. And so it kind of, I don't know, it had an impact on me. I don't know if it had an impact on anybody else. So hopefully she's going to issue us through so that we can get out of our being stuck where we are. So
Yes.
Veronica, I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. So welcome, everyone. So today we're going to do something which might be a little bit different than what you're used to, because I believe in putting people into experiences where you can actually, practice the RISE method. So we're going to do sort of a little goal setting workshop to get you focused and to get you clear, and to really look at, we're at the last half of the year, last half of 2020. And if you're like everybody else, 2020 has just been buck wild, right? So we're going to get clear about what the balance of 2020 and how to really get sort of, we're going to reflect, we're going to do some planning so that you can walk away with an actual simple plan for the rest of the year. Because despite what's going on in the world, what's powerful is, what's more powerful than what's happening in the world is your focus, okay? So the goal of today is to really get you focused. So definitely, if you don't have a pen and paper, definitely get one out, because you're gonna wanna, when we do the visualization, you're gonna wanna write fast and capture your thoughts so that you can leave here today with a plan. So we know it's been a challenging year. And so this is about resetting and we really need your energy for the year, right? Like, it's going to require more from you than really ever before. So we're going to set some goals today. And so this goal setting process that I'm taking you through, I've taken clients through. I've been a coach for 20 years, right? So I founded the world's first Black coaching organization. I'm actually creating the largest Black digital summit to ever exist in the history of the world. We're going to heal intergenerational trauma. So I've done a lot of coaching over the years, 20 years, and have been really in the Black space as well as other spaces, nonprofit spaces. So done a lot of things in this space. But today I'm really here to serve you around restoring focus, right? Because you get what you focus on. And so we want, in the spirit of reflection, right, in the right model, we want to have you get clarity about where you've been and get clarity about where you're headed, okay? Let me go ahead and set a timer. Okay. So, and when we look at reflecting, it's really important that we let go of the things that don't work or didn't work, right? Because there are some things that we try that just don't work. And so rather than judge ourselves and feel guilt or shame about what didn't work, let's get neutral and simply assess. And so put another way, don't judge yourself, measure yourself, because that's how we really measure, how we get results. So today we're gonna ask a series of high quality, energizing questions, right? Some high energy questions that are gonna speak directly to your subconscious mind. Okay, that's where all the action is. I'm a master hypnotist, and I do some very advanced modalities that help access the subconscious mind, because that's where you can get the most traction in terms of getting results. So, we think that willpower is fixed, but willpower isn't really fixed. Willpower fluctuates, right? Right, sometimes you feel like it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're scared because the world's going crazy, sometimes you're not. But what we
Okay,
want to
thank you.
do, is get you energized
Okay, thank you.
and not worry so much about willpower. Oops, okay. So when we do this visualization, we want you to really go fast. We want you to trust your intuition, just trust whatever comes up. Your first mind is usually your right mind, right? You can always go back and modify this once you have your plan. But there's a part of you that knows the truth, and we want you to access that part of yourself. This process has been used with hundreds of people. My clients have benefited from it enormously. So it moves you out of uncertainty and lack and scarcity into like action, right? So
Oh,
that's
good.
what we're here to do today.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's what we're here to do today. So I'm going to guide you through these questions. You're going to have about 20 to 30 seconds per question. You're going to go ahead and write quickly. You don't have to write the question down, just write the number down so you can sort of stay in flow. We're going to focus on three key areas in service of reflecting. We're going to look at what has happened so far in 2020. What were your biggest successes? What are some new powerful intentions that you can set for the rest of 2020? And we're going to create a simple master plan for the rest of 2020. Okay? So go fast, trust your first mind. You don't have to write the question, just write the number. Ready? Let's go. Okay, question number 1. Describe the first part of 2020 in 3 words. You have 20 seconds. Be honest and say the first thing that comes to mind. Describe your 2020 so far in 3 words. And the reason we're focusing on 3 words is because we want you to drill down on what your priorities were. That's what your subconscious was focused on. Okay, so describe in 3 words 2020 so far. Write fast.
Okay, I'm ready.
Question number 2. What single accomplishment from 2020 are you most proud of so far and why? What single accomplishment from 2020 are you most proud of and why? When you reflect back, it helps you understand your values. And when you compress the first half of the year into a single achievement, it gives you insight into your values. Don't discount whatever comes up, even if you've had some obstacles and struggles, like as we all have had. Don't let your ego say it's not important, because it is. So what's the single biggest accomplishment from 2020 that you're most proud of? Question number 3, what challenges or blocks have you overcome so far in 2020? What challenges or blocks? Could be family, career, business, health, obviously with the pandemic and COVID, there's been a lot of challenges, but what did you overcome? Right? This is about putting you into a resourceful state, because no matter what you've been through, what matters is how you rose to the occasion. Everything has its challenges, especially now. What matters is how you rise. Did you have to be resourceful? Did you have to lead? Did you have to be flexible? Did you have to pivot? Did you have to ask for help? It's not about the size of the challenges. It's really about the size of your persistence. Okay, question number 4. What new skills did you learn in 2020? Anything. Some of you've learned how to cook better because you're at home and eating out isn't really an option, right? Some of you have learned to manage children in a way that you may never have before, right? This is about new things. And this is also about programming your subconscious mind that you can learn new things, because you can, you already have, and you want to give yourself credit. So what skills did you learn? When you focus on what you've learned, it reminds your subconscious mind that you can learn way more than you think you can. Question number 5. What's the thing that you're most grateful for so far in 2020? Who or what are you most grateful for in 2020? Feel the gratitude now and write down at least 5 things. Feel the gratitude now, write down at least 5 things. Sometimes we get into a state of lack or struggle, and we want to put your attention on what you have and what you've done and what you're grateful for. So what did you achieve? Who did you impact? What grew and stretched you? Really feel the vibration of gratitude right now in your body. Let yourself fully experience it. Let that feeling grow. Good. Question number 6. Who did you enjoy spending time with in 2020? And this is about your network, right? We're about getting unstuck through networking. But the reason that it's important about who you spent time with is that because it helps you design your circle, people that help you feel good, right? The values that you share with people, your network, Who did you love being around? How did they make you feel? What are the qualities that they embodied? Want to understand what shared values are. Question number 7. What was your favorite compliment that you received in 2020? Your favorite compliment that someone gave you in 2020. And why is this important? Because it gives you insight into how you like to be seen and known at the deepest level. So why did that compliment feel so good? Right? People are a mirror to us and they give us feedback all the time. So what's your favorite compliment that you received? Good. So we're going fast. I know. Take a nice deep breath in.
Yes.
And I hope you're beginning to sort of notice patterns. One of the reasons that we go fast is because it bypasses all of the meandering that our conscious mind does, all that doubt and all that chatter, all that noise. My mom calls it the committee, right? The committee of voices in your head that tell you what you can't do.
Right.
But when we go fast, we simply bypass all of that and we go straight for the truth. So notice what your themes are. If there's any themes that are going to be beginning to emerge. Just notice that. If you notice some themes, write them down. Good. Question number 8. What worry did you have that turned out to be completely unnecessary? There's a lot to worry about in the world, right? But some of it didn't come true because you're here today, right? So all that energy in it just wasn't true. So the purpose of this is to identify the patterns of things that you give unnecessary energy to. Sometimes we worry about the same things over and over again. Sometimes we have new things to worry about, but a lot of times there's a pattern in terms of how we worry. So go ahead and notice that. What did you worry about that turned out to be completely unnecessary? Question number 9. What's the biggest lesson from 2020 so far? What's the biggest lesson from 2020 so far? Keep it to 3 items. It helps you to prioritize. It helps your mind to sort of chunk the lessons. Sometimes the biggest lessons are spiritual. Sometimes the biggest lessons have to do with our flexibility and our resourcefulness, especially now. Top 3 lessons. Okay. So that's the end of part 1. Go ahead and finish that up and notice the themes. Check in with yourself. Notice if there's any usefulness to kind of theming all this and what you're discovering about yourself. And we wanted to get you present. When we talk about reflecting, we want to get you present. We want to surface that which you are already, what you currently bring to the world, what you currently bring to the table. Okay, so then we're gonna jump into section 2. But just say, if you want to say something in the chat box about anything that you're discovering, go ahead and say it right now. Just a few shares. Anything that you're noticing? Any themes that you're aware of?
Well, I'm going to jump in because I'm going to tell you what I noticed on myself. I was so worried about this. We run a school, AutoWorkz Institute. And I was so worried about it during all of this craziness because we just transitioned to tuition based. And I was so worried about it. It dominated everything I did, but I kept going at it. And so I was so tenacious that, everything turned out okay.
Yeah, it does require a level of tenacity in this era, doesn't it? I mean, things are sort of moving slower. There's a lot of uncertainty, but you're right. Tenaciousness is the thing that allows you to succeed anyway, despite all the circumstances. So beautiful. Thank you. And so so how do you feel about the worry now? Now that you've made your way through it despite the challenges?
Well, I'm not really worried anymore, but I'm going to tell you what the worry did do for me. It provided me avenues that I may need to do differently. So if things weren't going well and I was really worried about them, instead of just letting it consume me, I said, okay, what can I do differently? And I did it. This show is a good example, AutoWorkz Insights, because I was really worried about my students not being able to make it through the pandemic. And so my thing is, what can I do to make their lives easier because they're going through the same pain and anguish that I'm going through. And so this show came about.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's amazing the creativity that can emerge from us in the middle of wild circumstances if we just focus and decide, right? And let, your care for the students is what was the guiding light in all of this. So yeah, so they're very lucky to have you. Okay, anybody else want to share? Okay,
Can I be heard?
let's, yes, you can be heard.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. I
yes,
didn't know if
Patricia.
I was muted or not. I surprised myself because my impression is that things are moving too fast, but what I wrote was things are moving way too slow.
Right.
So I guess it's like the external part of the world is spinning, but by us being on lockdown, by us being told to stay home, not do this, not do that, there were a lot of things I wanted to do or felt like I needed to do that I wasn't able to do. And it
Yeah,
turns out that all those things I thought I needed to do, I really didn't need to do
it's
because
interesting. We're discovering what's essential in this era, aren't we? We're really
right,
zeroing in on what's really important.
what's really important. And
Yeah,
most of those things that are flying around in your head that you feel so much pressure to get done or to
right.
take care of, I didn't do them. I couldn't do them. And they did not get taken care of. And actually things came out better, I think, by me not pursuing them
Yeah,
than if I had or pursued them.
good, good.
So I just wanted
Okay.
to add that. That was, I didn't notice that reversal right there that
Yes.
had happened until you asked that question. So,
Yeah, good. Yeah, these questions are designed to sort of surface, right? Because we want to celebrate how far we've come. Right? We want to, and
mhm.
oftentimes we'll look back and we'll be identified with like, oh, it's just everything was so hard and challenging. But then when we dig in a little bit deeper, we realize all that we are and what we're really capable of. I mean, I want to equip you with that knowing of yourself as we sort of move forward into the goal setting. So Jarrell's saying perspective, getting some perspective. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some goals and intentions and what you really, really want. So we want to focus on what you want to create for the rest of 2020. So question number 10, describe the rest of your ideal 2020 in just 3 words. Describe the rest of your ideal 2020 in just 3 words. Keep it to 3 so that you're prioritizing, keeps you focused. It uncovers your deepest values. It distills it, 3 distills it so it gives you purpose and clarity. Ideal 2020, the rest of 2020 in just 3 words. Question number 11. What would outrageous success look like, feel like, sound like to you? What would outrageous success look like, feel like, and sound like to you? Potent goals require potent feelings. So what does outrageous success feel like? Let yourself see that and hear that and feel that in your nervous system. Feel it everywhere. Feel it now. Experience it now. Outrageous success. People aren't lazy, but sometimes we have impotent goals, right? We have impotent goals, and now's the time to set bigger goals than ever in a certain way, to dream bigger than ever, while as the world transforms itself. Okay? Let yourself experience it. Okay? Order here. Oh, here we go. Okay, question number 12. What are your top 3 goals or intentions for the rest of 2020? And why do you want it? Doesn't have to be perfect. Look for leverage. Why do you want it? What outcome would have a multiplier effect on the rest of your life? Sometimes we can set goals, and when we reach them, they multiply into the rest of our lives, right? We get leverage. Okay, so why is it a must? Okay. I want you to really find the emotion, find the why behind the goals. Why is it a must? Why must you do it? Why are you willing to do whatever it takes to have it? When we don't know why, it's really easy to get knocked off course. I think it's to what we were speaking to earlier. At the first sign of an obstacle, we're going to have obstacles, but when you know your why, then you're more inclined to keep going when the going gets tough. Question number 13. What skills do you need to create or manifest to have these goals? Right? You know how to learn things. We discovered that earlier, right? And we know that you're an active learner because you're here. So what are the things that you still need to acquire as skills that would help you achieve the goals? Okay, good, you guys are doing great. Question number 14, and this is really important. What are you prepared to give in return for meeting these goals? What are you prepared to give in return for meeting these goals? I did an interview with Dr. Randall Pinkett, who is a very powerful leader, and he's on his way to being a billionaire, I think. But one thing that I asked in the interview was, what price did you pay to get where you got? And what price would you never pay again? What price would you gladly pay? Right? People want to focus on the shine when we get our goals, but you pay a price for everything. So I'm always interested in understanding price paying, because you're going to have to pay some kind of price. So decide in advance. You're going to pay anyway. Decide in advance, and decide the prices that you're unwilling to pay. Right? This is a compass, and it helps you make decisions in a much more powerful way. You know, we all want happiness and fitness and more money and a great family, but there are prices to all of those things, and we have to decide in advance if we're willing to pay them. In other words, what pain are you willing to suffer, and what pain are you willing to sustain to have what you want? Like, what are you willing to sustain? I sat down and built a company in an industry that I know nothing about in the last 2 months, and it was 12-hour, 16-hour days around the clock.
Yeah.
I had to really pay I'm not a web developer, I'm not a copywriter, I'm not any of those things, but I had to sit down and learn those skills to build this company. I'd be willing to sustain the pain. I'd be willing to make the sacrifice. So what sacrifices are you willing to make?
Welcome to the 16-hour day club.
Yeah, right, right, exactly. Choose your prices wisely. Choose your prices wisely. Question number 15. What do you have to let go of in 2020? What would you have to say no to say yes to the big goals? Would you have to say no to procrastination? Would you have to say no to uncertainty, fear, complacency, avoidance, toxic people, distraction? What's in your environment? What would you have to say no to say yes to the big goal? Okay. Do you have to delete some negative people, right?
Yes.
Or delete or rearrange your interaction with them, right? So that it works for both of you. Do you need to have those pivotal conversations? Question number 16. How will you feel when your intentions and goals come true? How will you feel when your intentions and goals come true? Feel it right now. Allow yourself to experience in advance what it feels like when you really have what you want. How will you feel when your intentions and goals come true? Jarrell says ecstatic. Yes. Give yourself the feeling of having that right now. Good. Let it fire up in your nervous system. Question number 17. How will you know you're on the right path? What are the indicators for success, right? So there are milestones on the road to what you want, right? And you have to have a little bit of a sense of the benchmarks and the moments of, so if you, let's say, if you're starting a business and you want to get 10 clients, right? One benchmark is getting the first client.
Right.
Right. So there's benchmarks, there's indicators, right? You got to start somewhere, right? But know what you're filtering for. Right. So big and small indicators. When you don't have interim milestones, your subconscious mind doesn't believe you. right? It'll see the goals as abstract. If you don't have, whoops. Can you guys hear me? Sometimes when the phone
Yes.
rings, it
Yes.
kicks me off the Zoomy thing. Yeah, it'll feel abstract if you don't have interim indicators and interim goals. Your brain will go, you're not really going to get that. So make sure you have a few that are real indicators, benchmarks for your success. If your goal feels like an abstraction, your mind will sabotage it. Okay. Question number 18. What is the biggest fear you will have to overcome in advance? What is the biggest fear that you will have to overcome in advance, right? Let's just plan that in advance. Let's pick three. Three fears that you know you're going to have to overcome and deal with to have it. Like there's no shame in having fear, right? But you best know what it is so that you can manage it along the way to your goal, so that you don't subconsciously undermine yourself against not having it. Okay, we have to be flexible. We have to be agile. So let's go ahead and know ourselves. So what are the fears? Your mind knows the answer to this, your beautiful mind. You guys are doing good. I know we're going fast. Got your rollerblades on here today. Question number 19. How will you celebrate manifesting your goals and intentions? How will you celebrate manifesting your goals and intentions? When we don't celebrate, it shuts down our subconscious mind, right? Because we forget how we win. So we have to celebrate along the way. So how will you celebrate along the way when you get what you came for? If you just keep overcoming obstacles and trudging along, sometimes your mind gets bored. And it'll brand you a loser if you don't give it evidence that you're winning. So one way to stay on fire, on track, and stay motivated towards having what you want is to celebrate. And so know in advance how you're going to celebrate. Okay. Question number 20. We're coming towards in the home stretch. What's even better than all of this? What's even more inspiring, more powerful? Let yourself dream, expand, soar. Vision. Dream even bigger. Let yourself feel the feelings inside. What's even better than all of this? Let it get bigger. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what is imagined and what is real. So let yourself dream even bigger. Okay. You want to make your subconscious mind your ally and not your enemy, right? So the more potent the vision, the more potent the outcome. So we want you to vision as though your life depends upon it, because it does. So go ahead and take a moment and review everything that you've written down. There should be some themes emerging, even more themes that are emerging, some resources that you've uncovered, discovered, right? What are you learning and discovering based on what we've done so far? So based on what you're looking at and what you're seeing and the themes that are emerging, question number 21, like your big intention for the rest of 2020. What is your big intention? Given all the things, all the skills, all the things you need to overcome, what's your big intention for the rest of 2020? Go ahead and write that. Take a few minutes and really write that down. Your big intention. Give your mind the evidence criteria for what it really wants. Big intention. Good. You guys are doing great. We're going fast, right, this morning? Big intention. Okay, and a couple of shares about where you are before we're going to create a simple master plan. That's going to be our final step in the process. Any thoughts, anything emerging so far? Anything you're discovering, remembering?
For me, I'm discovering my biggest fear is time. I'm involved in a few things now. They all seem to be moving in the right direction, but I am afraid that I won't live to see the outcome. You know,
Mm,
I won't live to see how everything comes together, and it's just like we pictured or I pictured.
yeah. So a really good way to handle that fear, I'm gonna give it to you quick and dirty. We often view the future with dread when we don't vision it in advance. So everybody is supposed to do a quick little exercise. So think of your biggest fear that you're having right now, and imagine picking up out of your seat and floating into the future 15 minutes after, float to 15 minutes after the successful completion of your biggest goal. 15 minutes after the successful completion of your biggest goal. Let your feet touch down on that future moment. Look back towards now. Look back towards now and tell me where the fear is. Look back towards now after 15 minutes after the successful completion of your biggest goal. Where'd the fear go?
No, it's not there anymore.
Right. So, so this is a little trick you can do with your pretty little head, which is that if oftentimes we view the future with dread unless we visit it in advance. We view the future with dread, right? All the things we have to do, all the things we feel incapable of, all right. But if we just kind of bounce, just imagine going after the successful completion of it, and we look back, then we can kind of see how we got there, and it frees up our unconscious mind to stop focusing on the dread.
And it's
Cute
funny
little part.
yeah, because I actually, when we started this school, AutoWorkz Institute, someone had asked me what was my 5-year vision.
Yeah.
I said that I would have 50,000 students. And they looked at me and said, "Are you crazy?" I went, "Yeah, I am."
Right. Right. That's right.
I'm going to get there, but I know I'm going to have the hippest, most popular cybersecurity school in the country. How I
That's
get there,
awesome.
I have no idea.
Right.
That's what I
Right.
envision, that it's going to be cool, it's going to be hip, people want to come and do the tech and space. And so I had to laugh because I actually created a superhero as our mascot.
Yes.
Her name is Andrea. She got, braids, she's African-American, she's a cool looking lady. And so on Monday, well, we actually have the billboards up now, but on Monday, we're going to launch our campaign called Become a Cybersecurity Hero with Andrea. And we posted 4 billboards in the city of Detroit to roll out my cool superhero, right? So I'm excited. So I envisioned it long before it happened. I didn't have any money, but I made it happen. So never know.
That's why it's so important to get connected to the vision, right? Because you don't have to know the how always. You just have to know the what, and you have to know that it's possible, right? And so one way to sort of is to deal with the fear is to just go forward, and then you'll find that the fear can dissipate. Okay, good. On to the next thing. So we're going to create a simple master plan. So I want you to, this is the execution part of right? This is the execution part. So what are some actions that you can take to create the goals? So this is going to just be stream of consciousness. I just want you to write stream of consciousness, write a bunch of them. Just write whatever comes to mind. And then we're going to chunk and prioritize them. But write them down, stream of consciousness. Big things, small things, phone calls, little actions, things that you can take to reach your goals. What will be the accelerator? What are the things that you can do? Just go ahead and write down. They don't have to make sense. They can seem silly. Your intuition knows the truth. Okay, so what's the actions you can take? Just write them all down. What are some things that would really be the accelerator? Sometimes we can take actions and they're accelerators. They move the needle, right? Sometimes they're the scariest things, but they really move the needle. So what are, sometimes it's a phone call. Listen, me, my clients, I have moved needles with phone calls that I was scared to make, right? And unlocks the whole thing. You gotta sometimes be willing to do that thing that you're afraid to do. So what are those? Okay, just take another few seconds and finish up the tasks that you have to do to reach the goal. Question number 22, out of all the things that you've listed, I want you to put a star or an asterisk next to the actions that are going to give you the most bang for the buck. Put a star or an asterisk next to the things that are going to give you the most bang for the buck. The key 20%, right? You've heard of Pareto's principle, right? 20% of what you do gives you 80% of your results, right? That's a principle that's found in nature. 20%, you wear 20% of the clothes in your closet 80% of the time. Well, it might be different post-pandemic. And 80% of the clothes that you have, you wear 20% of the time. And they found it like with carpet, like, so you walk 20% of the carpet in your house is worn, 80% gets worn, right? So 80-20 is a real rule, it's in nature. So what's the 20% that's gonna give you the leverage in terms of the actions that you just listed? What's gonna give you the most bang for the buck? In other words, what will you focus on? What are the critical few versus the trivial many? Great. So take those top things and go ahead and put a date by which you will accomplish them. Go ahead and put a date by which you will accomplish them. See, this isn't about complexity, because if it's too complex, you might not do it. This is really about simplicity. The dates by which you will accomplish them. Okay, coming into the home stretch. Question number 23, where have you been procrastinating about the things that you know you need to do? Where have you been procrastinating about the things that you know you need to do, given what we've just created in terms of your master plan? Tell the truth. When you ain't been acting right, you tell the truth about that to yourself. You don't gotta say it out here, but say it to yourself. What have you been procrastinating about? What's the thing that you've been avoiding that if you just got it done, it would actually change the game? Right? Tell the truth. I see some knowing smiles there, so that, ain't no shame in that game. We all do it. Yeah, I know. So all the things that you've been tolerating, right? Sometimes when we've been procrastinating, it's like a worrying energy, right? We want to convert your concern into commitment. So we want to transform and transmute that worrying energy into action. So what are the things that if you just got it done, right? It would unlock the whole thing. Things are far more dangerous when they live between your ears than when they get out on paper. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They're more dangerous when they're all stuck in there, all jammed up in there. All right, notice what the tolerations and the procrastination has cost you. Notice what the toleration and the procrastination has cost you. What price did you pay? We talked about price paying earlier. Procrastination has its own price. Tolerations have their own price. What price have you been paying without meaning to? What price are you paying to stay in your comfort zones? Okay. Question number 24. So when you think about it, what are the next 6 months going to be about for you? What are they really going to be about for you? Decide, commit, resolve. What are the next 6 months going to really be about for you? Make it non-negotiable now. Burn the bridge behind you now. Decide that this is what will be now. Imagine having these goals be realized. What would it do for your family, for you, the impact that you want to have? Hey, let's bring it on back. We got through it. A little goal setting workshop for today. So any thoughts, questions, anything you want to share, anything that you've learned today that you didn't know before you hopped on this session?
I think something that really resonated with me was that question number 15, when you start talking about toxic people and either getting them out of your life, or you said rearrange the interaction.
Yes.
And I think that that would require some thought. I don't know if it would work or not in all cases, but I can see how it would help, because the interaction that you get into with them is almost self-fulfilling or
Right.
self-feeding, and if you
Right.
don't break that, and they may not be toxic people once you rearrange that interaction.
Correct.
So generally
Correct.
you blame it on them, but maybe it's not all their fault.
Well,
Because
you can reset the dynamic. In other
Yep.
words, people get into, especially now because, we're forced to be with people, compelled to be with people that we may not want to be around 24 hours a day, right? So,
Right.
so crafting agreements about, okay, so, we're in the apocalypse. So can we sit down and agree to do some things differently? Can we just agree to
Mhm.
that? Because
And
here's
that
what it's costing us to not do it.
and that went right into question number 23, the
Yeah,
toleration of the procrastination.
right. There you go.
So yeah,
Sometimes you can free up a lot of energy by having those pivotal communications, especially now,
okay,
because right now it's draining you of energy, right?
right,
Yeah,
right. And that was also part of 23, more energy.
yeah,
So
good.
um, yeah, this whole thing is actually linked together when you look at it. Everything flows into everything else actually.
Yeah, that's how we
So, so
roll
thank
around
you,
here.
thank
That's
you.
how we roll. Get that little subconscious mind all activated.
And get the bats out of the belfry.
Get the bats out of the belfry, right? Absolutely. Okay, who else? Any thoughts, any learnings, any themes? What emerged? Is your plan feel clear? Any struggles with your plans? Like, chime in here.
All right, so this is Gwen, and thank you very much,
You're
Veronica,
welcome.
for taking us through these exercises. And I, just like Patricia, number 15 did really resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, I do have people and projects in my life that are brought to me from people that are, in one respect, good, but I do have to find a way to build in the right amount of balance. So reorganize, or I forgot the term that you used, but rearrange the arrangement that I have with them so that it
Yeah.
works better for me, so that it
Yeah.
works better in terms of timing, so that it works better and flows within the other things that I need to accomplish for myself and for my business, and
Yes.
be present for my family and those sorts of things. So I really, that really resonated with me. And one of the things that is I struggle with all the time, and it's good and bad, and it's finding the balance between this overthinking that I do. So
Mm.
uh, that has always traditionally been a challenge for me, but I have to find better ways of working around that. So thank you very much. I appreciate all that you've done for us today.
You're welcome. May I give you, all of you, a tip that may be useful? I once attended an event called Money and You a long time ago, Buckminster, and it was based on super learning techniques from Buckminster Fuller,
Oh,
right? He's a guy that invented the geodesic dome and all that stuff. And Money and You, we did like 16-hour-a-day trainings. We were like, I've done a lot of Tony Robbins stuff, so I've done some real super learning events, right? And one of the things that they taught us that's really powerful is they had us take a break every hour and do something very right-brained. So wiggle your butt, put on some music, shake your booty, go for a walk, do a cartwheel, pet a dog, whatever, but stop and do something right brain that takes you out of that. And if you do that every hour for even 5 or 10 minutes around the clock, you can go much longer, because a lot of times we'll go into a grind, right? Like I have to manage that around myself. When I've just built this business, like this last one that I just built, such a grind, right? So if you pace yourself and take a break every hour, you'll feel refreshed and you won't feel as burnt out and it'll interrupt that overthinking pattern.
and I want to say to everybody, I actually have to leave. I actually am participating in a pitch competition in about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
Yes.
That I actually signed up for 4 months ago, because I made a decision that even though we were going into the pandemic and we need venture capital funding, and everybody told me that I should not raise any capital, I made the decision that I'm going to anyway. I'm just going to do it a little bit differently.
Good.
So this is one of the differently. So I'm on the panel in about 20 minutes. I'm going to leave.
Good.
I enjoyed the
All right.
session.
Yes,
I think
good.
it was great. Hopefully a lot of people got a lot out of it. And I'll see you guys on the recording.
All right. Okay, anyone else?
So she's going to leave. I'm going to kind of be here. This is Patricia.
Okay.
To wrap up.
We're finishing up, right? Because we have a hard stop at the top of the hour. Or are we supposed to stop a little bit earlier? Okay.
Okay. Do what you're going to do. Do you. Okay. You're doing real good. I like this.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So just any other shares? Any other? Yes, Julia.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for this. I came in a little bit late because I was running in from physical therapy, but I got so much out of what you have been saying. I recently started an online religious faith-based website, and from what you were saying, I found out, it made me think, what is procrastination costing me? Mm-hmm. Because we're building an online church directory, and I've been telling people about it, but that's not enough just to tell them to come onto the website. Mm-hmm. I've been procrastinating about getting them to actually, interacting with them. And I'm finding out now that it's going to take some one-on-one interaction. It's not enough just to say, oh, here's the website, go and sign your church up, because that's not working. And so what you said today was definitely to me about what is it costing you, and what is the fear. So I'm just going to thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Well, and one way to get people enrolled, just off the top of my dome, is in times of crisis, which what we're in the middle of right now, like community is more important than ever. So it's like, what's it costing them to not build community in the faith-based, with the tool that you've built, right? Give it to them. Like you gotta move people out of their apathy, right? And like, what's it costing them? So the same question that I asked you sort of applies to them in terms of enrolling them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, who else? Anyone
you
else
have
want to
anything,
share?
Jarrell, for us?
Yes, actually, hello. Yeah, actually, I'm working right now. So, is there any way possible that that I can get those questions there? It was, I did have my mind kind of turning, but I'm a delivery driver right now, so I'm unable to get utilize those questions. So, is there any way?
Right. Well, we can send the replay out, right?
Yes, we have. It's been recorded and
Kind of best to go through it live rather than have it on paper. It's just best if it's dynamic because then it bypasses all the thinking. So yeah,
Okay.
just listen to the replay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. Very
You're
good
welcome.
session. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. So we'll bring it to a close. If there's anything else anyone wants to share, I'll give you a little bit of how you can get in touch with me and stuff I'm doing. If that's useful, if that's useful to you.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. I am transitioning brands right now, so you can't find a bunch of websites out there with me on it because I'm transitioning brands. But there's two. You can, if you want to email me and do any deeper work, you can email me at veronicaprivatemail@gmail.com. That's VERONICAPRIVATEMAIL, veronicaprivatemail@gmail.com. I do some pretty deep transformative work. Like if you think what I did today was good, there's like, you ain't seen nothing yet. Like I can heal intergenerational trauma like in 20 minutes, half an hour on the phone, do some pretty intense work. I'm also a master hypnotist. So I can reprogram the subconscious mind to get the behaviors that you want and to also delete the fears, right? We want to delete some of the challenges and fears that we have that stop us. So you can reach out to me there if you want. I can also be found on LinkedIn if you want to find me there. I'm going to be putting together the largest digital gathering of Black thought leaders, celebrities, activists in the history of the online space in the fall. And that's going to be the Black Mastery World Summit. And we're going to do intergenerational healing stuff at a distance. So stay tuned for that. Strangely, I recently created a company. And if you go to adieu.world, ADIEU.world, my beloved, I've hosted virtual baby showers and parties pre-pandemic, like for way before anybody was doing it. And my boyfriend's uncle died, and this COVID was beginning. And he said, you know what, you really need to do virtual memorials. So I sat down, having been to like just a few funerals in my entire life, and basically built out a platform to help support people in redefining closure. So, how do you have an online event that is meaningful, sacred, in this era? And so I give people tools to do that, and we're partnering with funeral homes, and they're going to be licensing it from us. So if you go to adieu.world, that's there. It's kind of I never considered that I would find myself in the death business, but I feel like people because people are in such shock about what's happening. Yes. I give people visualizations and tools so that they can overcome the grief and the shock much more readily. So if you or anyone is sort of going through that, this is a company that I've built that sort of addresses that. So that's another thing that I just sat down 8 weeks ago and did. So you can check that out too.
Okay.
And great. That's it. Yeah. So any questions before we complete? Any thoughts? Anything anybody wants to say to be complete?
Just to thank you again so much for leading us through this exercise. It
so
was
welcome.
Very, very useful. And I see how this could be really motivational and really eye-opening to some of the students that we have through here who know they want things, but they aren't exactly sure how to go about getting it.
Right.
How to get from where they are to where they say they want to be.
Right.
So
this gets you real clear real fast, right?
It gets you real clear real fast. Yep. And makes you think about things you would not normally look at.
Right.
In a way you wouldn't look at them. So yeah, so thank you.
You're
so does anyone have any other questions this is Veronica Conway who's been helping us today. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions or comments for Veronica at this time?
Do you have a mailing list or some way we can keep in touch with what you're doing, that you can send us information or,
I'm building out all that infrastructure right now. Like I said, I'm really pivoting in a major way right now from sort of rebuilding a personal brand. So I'll stay in touch with you. I'll just sort of once I get some of the things built out, the lists, I'll be sure and let AutoWorkz know.
That would be wonderful. We need people like you.
Yes.
We do.
Thank
With
you.
everything going wrong, we really need people like you.
Yeah, you got to keep your head on straight, right? In
Yeah,
this
you got to
time,
keep it and up.
and up.
I'm only
That's
saying
right.
up. Yes.
And
So
to be really clear, right? You want to get really clear. Like clarity helps you move through all of the noise and fog, and
and clarity is everything. Clarity is the first thing because if you're
yes,
not clear, you're running around in circles.
yes,
So
absolutely.
clarity is primary. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at anyway, we're right at our hour
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
So if no one has anything else, I'm going to thank Veronica again and close the meeting.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Okay, and we'll be in touch, Veronica, okay?
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Take good care.
thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.